Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. And Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I've got this clip of Tucker Carlson on the Joe Rogan podcast speaking on what the world calls UFOs or UAPs, and he goes into it and some of the history of it, and he later says that these aren't aliens from outer space, but these are spiritual beings or spiritual phenomena. And according to the scriptures, and from what we've been told by our elders and apostles, the Great Millstone, these are spiritual phenomena. These are the angels that people are seeing and capturing on video. And it's something that the apostles and elders have been saying for years. And it seems like it's actually kind of getting out there. But let's hear what Tucker has to say, and then we'll get into the scriptures. So here you go.
Objects. So no, it's not American technology.
Well,
Or Russian or Chinese. It predates, all of that.
well, some of it does, right? Like for sure, the Kenneth Arnold sightings, that was really early on. That was like the early 1950s. He was seeing these flying saucers, these discs that were moving over mountains.
Well, right. I mean, the prophet Ezekiel writes about it in the
Right.
first chapter, wheels in the sky.
Yeah, that's a crazy one, boy. When you
Well,
read
it is
that,
crazy. If you read it, it's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
and
a wheel
so
within a
and not
wheel.
just the Hebrew scriptures, like it's all over every.
The Vedic texts.
Of course. So these are spiritual phenomenon. There's no evidence they're from another planet. I mean, I think that's the that's the lie, that they're from Mars. Look, space, the atmosphere is really well monitored, right? Both for defense reasons, but also because, like, it'd be nice to know when asteroids are coming. And there's no evidence, has never been any evidence that there are lots of these objects, these vehicles coming into our atmosphere from somewhere else, some other planet. There's no evidence of that at all. And
But yeah, he mentioned Ezekiel. Joe Rogan mentioned the Vedic text, and these things are written down there. There's lots of illustrations, old illustrations of the chariots being, painted, and that's what it is. And as he said, the psyop is that they say that they're aliens, and that's all through Esau. Esau has been trying to put fear into the people by claiming these are aliens from outer space. And it even goes into him claiming that they're aliens. That's going to allow them to mobilize people to fight against the angels and the chariots when they return. And just Esau's a liar. He knows what they are. They're not unidentified objects. They are identified flying objects. They're the chariots of Israel. They're the chariots of the Lord. And so let's go ahead and get into the scriptures. This is Psalms 104 and verse 3. It says, "Who layeth the beams of his chamber in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot." And so when you see cloud, a lot of times, not every single time, but it's speaking of the chariots, or what the world calls UFOs. And in Revelation 1 and verse 7, it says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see." That's the earth being invaded by these chariots, which are called clouds, which the world calls UFOs. That's what it's speaking of. And other times it might call it a whirlwind. In 2nd Esdras 13, it calls it a mountain. And it's called by various names, but I went to the scripture because it gives the visualization of what they were being called back then. And they were not being called UFOs. That is just Esau making up things and lying because he wants to be seen as the highest being in this realm, but he's not. It says, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. So it helps you see that it's flying. But because Tucker Carlson mentioned that it's spiritual, let's go to where, not 2 Samuel, 2 Kings chapter 6. But he mentioned it's spiritual, and here I think gives an illustration of these chariots being spiritual. So this is 2 Kings 6 and 15. It says, and when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, a host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And so these are men on horses and chariots. That host being an army, so they were surrounded by an army. And this being Elisha and his servant. And it says, and his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? So the servant speaking to Elisha, like, what are we going to do? We're completely surrounded by an army. And he said, verse 16, and he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And so he's speaking of the angels. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, Yahweh, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord, Yahweh, opened his eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So this shows the spiritual aspect. Elisha prayed. Praying is spiritual. And he prayed to the Lord to open his servant's eyes so he could see the angels that are protecting them and surrounding them while this actual physical army is surrounding them. So you should be able to see that he prayed and then so-called UFOs came, or chariots came to protect them. That's spiritual. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord Yahweh and said, smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. So again, he used prayer, which is a excellent tool that the Lord has given us in this spiritual war that we're fighting. He's given us prayer, and Elisha prayed, and here's what it says, and he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. So you can see the spiritual aspects of this in what people think is just a physical vehicle. It's really a spiritual vehicle. And these are the angels. These are the chariots of Israel, the chariots of the Most High. And so Tucker Carlson's actually correct about that. These aren't aliens from a whole nother solar system or galaxy or whatever Esau will say. These are spiritual vehicles. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.